moderns. Today, inshallah, we are going to cover and study together lecture number 3. As you see in front of you, this is third lecture, and today we are going to deal with a very nice poem by William Blake, the same poet that we met in the previous lecture in his poem The Little Black Boy, and this was the poem that we explained last time. Today, inshallah, we have another poem, as I said, by the same poet William Blake, 1757 till 1827. The poem is The Tiger. You might ask yourself at the very beginning, the word tiger is not the usual spelling that you usually see, which is usually when we see tiger, you see the spelling T-I-G-E-R, but here T-Y-G-E-R. Maybe he wrote it this way just to attract our attention to the spelling, to be attracted to know what does he mean by this. Okay, anyhow, tiger, tiger burning bright. So the poet at the very beginning of the poem saying that the tiger is like a fire, burning bright. You know, of course, all of you know the color of the tiger. It's like, you know, a black and orange colors. So when you look in the first of the nights, when you look at the tiger, if it is at night, you feel that you are watching, you know, a fire, because usually the fire, is moving like this. The blazes are moving like this in zigzag way. The same lines on the body of the tiger. It is not straight stripes, but it is like zigzag stripes, like this way, and which is have similarity with the flames of the fire. So he sees, the poet here sees the body of the tiger the same as the flames of fire. So what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Now he is asking, and I'd like you please to pay attention to the questions that we have. We have many of questions in this poem, and we call this a kind of rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions, we find them here. Tiger, tiger burning bright, in the first of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Which means that who made these beautiful lines and stripes on your body? So of course the word immortal hand here is referring to God. Now the poet is mentioning that God, the Almighty, is able to shape this colorful lines and stripes on the body of the tiger himself. In what distant deeps or skies, where your body was made? So he is asking, what distant deeps or sky burned the fire of thine eyes? Again we have a question, one question we have. So who made these eyes? When you are looking, he says that when you are looking at the eyes of the tiger, you feel that you are looking at something burning, because it reflects like light in front of you. So in what distant deeps or skies burned the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand there sees the fire? So which hands who made you, the tiger, with all these light and the like burning fire coming out of your body and coming out of your eyes? So, and what shoulder, what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? So even your heart was not like a simple heart, but it is a heart that was made talently talentedly and skillfully by, of course, God. And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand, what dread feet, what extent that your hand and your feet also were made. What's the hammer? What the chain? And what furnace was thy brain? So he is liking here God as if it were like a blacksmith who, blacksmith is shaping metals to make some shapes and some like statues and something like this. So he feels that the brain of the tiger was made by a blacksmith, as we said. What the anvil, what dread grasp, there its deadly terrors clasp. So all this is mentioning here. So when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? So now he is asking here a very important question and a very philosophical question. He is asking, did he who made the lamb make thee? Now you know that we have the lamb. The lamb is the young of the sheep. So, and of course it is known by its innocence, that it is meek, that is tender and soft, very cute, and at the same time very weak creatures, and not the same as the tiger, which is quite dangerous, which is quite strong, which is quite cruel and heartless in catching and chasing its prey. So here the poet is asking, were the same hands who made that nice, cute, meek, innocent creature, are they the same hands who made this dangerous, aggressive, and unpredictable creatures? So here, the poet here is making us thinking of the ability of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why he is asking you how God created both, how God created these two complete opposite creatures. They are extremely opposite to each other. Each one has its own and its total different characteristics and features. So how the tiger was created, and how also the lamb was created. So he is asking us that we need to think of this matter. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? And I like you to return back to note this stanza, the last stanza. If you go back to the first stanza, you will feel that it is typically the same stanza. So stanza number 1 and stanza number 7, which is the last stanza, it is typically the same except only this word. We have this word, could frame thy fearful symmetry, but here we have dare frame thy fearful. So he changes the word could to the word dare frame thy fearful symmetry. Now let's read this together. William Blake, English poet, printmaker, and printer, is known now as one of the most prominent figures of the Romantic age for his poetry and visual arts. Fairly unknown during his life, Blake has now become an iconic figure, a very prominent figure. The Tiger is one of the Blake's best known and rich songs. This poem is included in Blake's Songs of Experience. Now there is one important point here, which is the poem itself. It has two levels of understanding. What are the two levels on which we have to understand this poem? First, on the surface level, on the slight and superficial level, we have, it portrays an image of a tiger which is compared to a fire burning at night. So if you look for the first time, from the first look at the poem, you feel that the poet is giving us an image of that wonderful creature, the tiger, which is, when you are looking at it, you feel that you are looking at burning fire, or a fire burning at night at that time. But this is the surface me, but we still have one deeper level, or one deeper level of understanding. What's the deeper level of understanding in this poem? It is, the tiger here is an embodiment of God's creative ability. So the whole, when you are reading the poem deeply, you feel that the poet here is directing and guiding our attention to the ability, this creative ability of God. The poem is more about the creator, and this is very important here. The poem is more about the creator of the tiger, the one who created the tiger, than it is about the tiger itself. So in spite of the title of the poem, The Tiger, but here the main purpose behind writing this poem is not the tiger itself. It is not the tiger which attracted and which, amazed and bewitched the poet. It is the creative ability of God himself, right? Yes, okay. So in contemplating the terrible ferocity and awesome symmetry of the tiger, the speaker is at a loss. He does not know what to say. The speaker is at a loss to explain how the same God who made the lamb, as we said, could make the tiger. So how can the same creator create these two completely and extremely different creatures? Hence, this theme, humans are incapable of fully understanding the mind of God and the mystery of his handiwork. The tiger, the poem, presents a question that embodies the central theme. Who created the tiger? Who created the tiger? Was it the kind and living and loving God who made the lamb, or was it Satan? Blake presents his question in lines 3 and 4. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Again, we have another question. Blake, the poet, realizes, of course, that God made all the creatures on earth. So he is sure that all these creatures on earth were created by God himself. However, to express his bewilderment that the God who created the gentle lamb also created the terrifying tiger, he includes Satan as a possible creator while raising his rhetorical questions. I told you that all these questions that we have in this poem, we call them rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions means that you do not expect an answer, asking a question without waiting for the answer. Notably, the one he asks in lines 5 and also 5 and 6. In what distant deeps or skies burned the fire of thy eyes? The word deeps here appear to refer to hell. We have here the word distant deeps. By deeps here, he is referring to hell, and skies to, of course, to heaven. In either case, there would be fire, the fire of hell or the fire of stars. The tiger is the exact opposite of the little lamb. So as we said before, that this is a completely different creature from the lamb. So the tiger is the exact opposite of the lamb, the little lamb. The lamb is a young and innocent creature, where the tiger is full of experience, right? So those two animals, as we said, are polar opposites. They are completely and extremely opposites. However, both are animals that Blake felt could reflect human history and thought. Blake's belief in the Christian God is seemingly unarguable. Now, the tiger is an image of the wrath of life and God. The tiger kills for food and is untamable. So the tiger kills for food and is untamable. So you cannot consider it as a tame animal, something that you can have at home like pets or something. So the tiger kills for food and is untamable. So the sheep is a little bit tameable, but here the tiger is untamable, where the lamb is gentle and innocent, which means that each characteristic, all the characteristics which the tiger has are completely different from all the characteristics which the lamb have. Okay, so now the lamb is gentle and innocent. However, if it is led astray or let walk alone, it will be left to wander alone until its shepherd comes to call on it. The Creator, God in this case, created both the lamb and the tiger. This creation allowed the natural order of balance in the world that the Romantics came to know and worship. The tiger contains only 6 stanzas. Each stanza is 4 lines long. So we have here 6 stanzas of the poem, and each one has 4 lines long. The first and last stanza, as we said before, they are the same. So again, if you look at the first stanza and the last stanza, you'll feel that they are typically the same, except, as we said, for just one word change. What is this word? It is the word could. Could you find it in the first stanza, and there you find it in the last stanza. The tiger is a poem made of questions, and we said that there are lots of questions and question marks in this poem. So the tiger is a poem made of questions. There are no less than 13 question marks and only one full sentence that ends with a period instead of a question mark. So we find that all the lines that we have are ending with a question mark, and only one full sentence that ends only with a period instead of a question mark. Now, addressing the tiger, the speaker questions it as to its creation, essentially. Who made you, Mr. Tiger? How were you made? Where? Why? What was the person or thing like that made you? Now, the first stanza, if we need to have a look at the explanation and the paraphrase of the stanzas, the 6 stanzas of in the poem. So let me give you an idea about the paraphrase and the explanation of the first stanza. So the first stanza opens the central questions. This is the main question in this poem. What immortal hand or eye? What wonderful and immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Blake wonders who had made the immaculate symmetry of the tiger's body. The creation of the tiger's eyes is described next. The poet questions, where deep below the earth or high in the heavens did the wildfire which is now contained in the tigers used to burn? Then we have the next 2 stanzas, stanza number 2 and stanza number 3. They describe the creation of the heart and then the brain of the tiger. So 2 and 3 are concentrating on the heart and the brain of the tiger, which means that concentrating about 2 organs of the tiger. Blake is intimidated by the strength and art which must have been required to build the muscles of the tiger's hard heart. So he is astonished by all this strength, by all this power which the tiger has, and how these muscles of the tiger, they were made and they were created, and how they were built. It is now that the tiger comes to life after his heart is placed within its frame, and the poet feels awe at the agile hands and feet of the tiger. The fourth stanza compares God to a blacksmith, and this is what we said. He said, "Who used a hammer, a chain, and an anvil to furnish the brain of the tiger. After the brain was given shape, the poet imagines that it was cooked and the plastic furnace, which counts for the ferocity and ruthlessness of the tiger." The last two lines of the fifth stanza are enough to summarize the entire central idea of the poem. So if you go to stanza number 5, you will find the last two lines in these stanzas are summarizing and are giving you the whole summary of the central idea of the poem. The poem wonders whether the same creator who created the meek and docile lamb was the one to create the ferocious and deadly tiger. And this is the main question that we have. Were they the same hands who made these two, as I said, completely opposite and extremely different from each other? Who created the meek and docile lamb was the one to create the ferocious and deadly tiger. And the sixth and last stanza is a repetition of the first, with the exception of one crucial word. Where before Blake had been wondering who could create such a being, he now questions who dares to do so. In addition, ending the poem this way leaves the reader in astonishment, wondering, and speculating. Okay? Now, another interpretation of the poem could be the focus on the balance in the universe. If there is God, there is also bad. If there is life, there is also death. These differences and this balance in the world. If there is light, there is also darkness. This is the dichotomy of creation. God has created the world in such a way that it balances between itself, as can be gleaned from his creation of the tiger to balance the docile lamb. Then we move now to the form in the play. The poem is comprised of 6 quatrains, 6 stanzas. As we said that the poem has or consists of 6 stanzas, each of 4 lines. So if you go to each stanza, you will find that each stanza consists of 4 lines. Of course, this system, which you can see now in Romantic poetry and in the Victorian poetry, you will not find the same system or the same systematic way of writing a poem in the modern poetry. So the modern poets are not following the same order and the same system and design of the poem. And this, inshallah, will be clearly displayed and shown, inshallah, at the end of this course when we are covering some of the modern poems. So the rhyme scheme here in this poem is AABB. The repeated use of questions throughout the poem stresses the poet's surprise and wonder at the amazingly skillful creation of the tiger. Now we know why the poem asked many questions. The repeated use of questions throughout the poem stresses the poet's surprise and wonder at the amazingly skillful creation of the tiger. Now this is the last point to stress on. We have examples of figures of speech and allusions that we have. We have the alliterations. If we want to get an example of alliteration in this poem, we have alliteration tiger, tiger, of course, burning bright, line 1, and we have frame thy fearful symmetry. And of course, you know, if you go back to the first lecture, you will have definitions of some of these terms. Alliteration, if I want to remind you of it, it's the close repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. So we have here tiger, tiger. This is T and T, T and T sound here is consonant letters, and they are very close, as you can see, burning bright. Now we have also the metaphor, another figure of speech. The metaphor here, comparison of the tiger and his eyes to fire, comparing the fire to the eyes of the tiger. We have anaphora, and the phora, which is we have here a repetition of what at the beginning of sentence or close. Examples: what dread hand, what dread feet. Now I'm going to finish this example. What dread hand and what dread feet, what the hammer, what the chain. Now the last point that we have here is the allusion. We have immortal, hand or eye, God or Satan. This is what we mean by allusion. So we have here an example: the immortal hand or eye, God or Satan. So either or, someone or with something, and or something. This is what we mean by allusion. And then we have distant, deeps or skies, hell or heaven. Okay, now let's move to your preferable of course point, which is having one question similar to the one that you will have inshallah in the final. We have here the poem The Tiger consists of what? Consists of 2 stanzas, 3 stanzas, 4 stanzas, or 6 stanzas. Of course, if you go back to the lecture, you will find that the poem, as we said, consists of 6 stanzas, and each stanza, as we said, consists of 4 lines. Okay, so now let's have another more question that we have. The tiger presents a question that embodies the central theme. So the tiger presents a question that embodies the central theme. So what is the central theme that was raised and was clearly and discussed, I mean, in this poem? So the question that always raises in our mind when we read this, A, who killed the tiger? Is that the question? B, who brought the tiger? Who brought the tiger? And C, who created the tiger? And D, who hunted the tiger? Okay, of course the correct answer is C. Taban. So the tiger presents a question that embodies the central theme. What is the central theme? What is this question? It is, as you can see, it is letter C, who created the tiger. So the whole lecture is, as I said, focusing and concentrating on this question that we need to ask ourselves. We need to make a kind of thinking of making our eyes go around everywhere around us, looking at the creatures of God everywhere. You look at the sky, you look at the earth, you look at the camels, الإبل كيف خلقت, right? So you need to look for everything around you, to think and to remind yourself always of the ability, of the creative ability of God, how God created everything around us, starting from these very tiny creatures which maybe sometimes we are not able to see. We have to use like a microscope to see these creatures, moving to all these huge creatures created by him, like elephants, like camels, and all these things, like dinosaurs, of course, in the prehistory. So all these creatures, in spite of their huge bodies, and all these creatures, in spite of their tiny bodies, you know, all of them were created by God, and of course by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He deserves to be worshipped completely, and to be worshipped in a perfect way, because without this we would be like someone who is denying the truth of God Himself. So and of course this truth and the ability and the creative ability of God subhanahu wa ta'ala, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is undeniable. No one can deny the ability of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this lecture, by the end of this lecture, I'd like to thank you all, and I'd like to remind you of the important points that we covered till now. Please, the first lecture we covered the important or the main characteristics of the romantic poetry, and then we got something about also the literary terms, just for the sake of reminding you of the most important terms that are being used in any literary course, and now we have, of course, the poetry course. Then we started in the previous lecture talking about the very nice and very interesting poem by Blake the Little Black Boy, and we see to what extent the mother can influence her child, and can, you know, affect him, and how she to what extent she's able to convince him of a certain message. And also what was wonderful about this was of course her ability to start giving him the lesson, as we said, by putting him in her lap and starting to kiss him, giving him the lesson smoothly, naturally, kindly, sweetly, and all these tenderly, all these things, and how he was completely convinced by this lesson. And not only this, after being fully convinced of this lesson, he starts, as we said, to implement and to apply this in his life, and he starts telling the white child, or the white boy, of all these concepts that, and all these beliefs that he has in his mind, how the people are equal, how that we are the same, there is no difference between any human being, all of us are equal, and all of us are the same. Nothing can make that difference according to the body, according to the color, according to the religion, according even to the wealth and fortunes. Nothing can, especially that we have inside us that white soul that would make the difference. Okay, and in this lecture also to remind you that we cover this poem, which is the tiger, and the tiger, as we said, that the poet is greatly admiring and being attracted by this wonderful creature who looks like a fire, a burning fire at night, and the flames are, you know, brightening and shining in front of us. And of course we said that the whole idea behind that course is not the description of the tiger itself, but the main idea here is just to remind us of the ability the God Himself, and how He was able to create that wonderful creatures by the God himself. Okay, so we have to think of this, we have to remember this, and you need of course to concentrate on the the paraphrase of the stanzas that we have. Each stanza has its own explanation and has its own paraphrase, and of course you need also to have a look at the techniques, how the writer used these rhetorical, how the writer was using these rhetorical questions that we have here. And of course I have now reached the end of the literature. Thank you very much for all of you, all the best, and inshallah see you in the next lecture. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.